Greetings everyone, my name is Dr. Jason Freeman. I'd like to welcome you all to my channel. In this video, I review the film Empire of Light, written and directed by Sam Mendes and starring Olivia Coleman, Micheal Ward, Colin Firth, and Toby Jones. I tell you what I like about the film, I tell you what I don't really like about the film, then I tell you why I think you should see the film or just skip it. Now at any point, feel free to click the notification bell or subscribe to my channel to get more content. So, without further ado, let's begin. The film Empire of Light is set in the early 1980s, based on some of the events they mentioned in the film. In really the first half of 1981 is when a lot of these things are taking place. Now, the film focuses in on a small group of people working at the Empire Theater in some English coastal town. I don't think Mendes specifically mentions or have this characters mention where this town is. I don't remember hearing the name of the town. I know it's not London because they talk about things that happen in London. And so what do I like about the film? Well, the first thing I really like about the film is the trailer does not give away the plot of the film. Now, if you've seen the trailer, which probably at some point, if you're watching this video, you've probably seen the trailer at least some point. There's nothing in the trailer that gives away the core of the plot of the film. And so what happens as you watch the film, a little bit is given to you of the story, a little bit by bit happens. So by the end of the story, you get the full story, though there's some background that would be interesting to know as well. But again, there's nothing in the trailer that really says this is what the movie is about. You don't really get that until, I would say, at least by about the halfway mark, about the 50-so-minute mark. That's when I realized what the film was actually about. Now, along those same lines, something else I really liked about the film was Olivia Coleman's performance. Now, just like with the story kind of being revealed little by little over time, you get to see Olivia Coleman's character being revealed a little bit over time as well. And so again, that halfway mark is when you really realize what this film is, by really understanding what her story is and what's going on with her. But again, there's nothing in the trailer that tells you what's happening. There's nothing in the film that really tells you what's happening in that first half. Again, it's a little, you get a little bit, you get a little bit, you get a little bit, and then that halfway mark is like, okay, this is who she is. This is what this is about. This is what this movie is going to be. And that second half of the film really kind of plays out the rest of that story. Which brings me to the other thing I liked about the film was the second half of the film. This kind of reminds me of when I was watching the Small Acts Anthology series, and specifically the last film in the series, Education. Now, the first half of that film was very slow burn, and that second half is really when it took off. And that's what the same thing happened here. So that second half of this film, Empire of Light, is really when it becomes more compelling, more interesting, more engaging. And really, that's kind of what the film is, that second half. And just the last thing I'll say that I like before I move on to my critiques of the film is that all the actors, all the main actors gave solid performances, from Colin Firth to Micheal Ward to Toby Jones to the other actors who I had never seen before. If I had seen them, I've seen them in like bit parts here and there. But for the most part, those other actors did a great job. So this is a well-acted film. And again, while a lot of the great acting happened in the second half of the film, when the people were given, like Toby Jones, while, again, Colin Firth were given things to do, that's when the film was at its best. And so that brings me to the thing, what I don't like about the film. And the first thing I don't like about the film was that first half. And so as I was watching the first half of the film, I found myself a bit bored. Like I was getting to know the characters a little bit, but there wasn't really anything happening. And again, I mean, in theory, that's not bad. I mean, I think about some really bad movies out there. I'm not going to name any names, but I've critiqued them in the past. But the thing with those movies are action, 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 and no story. There was a story here. It was just a slow burning, really simple, really boring story. And so I was kind of thinking, well, I have these other films I want to review or shows I want to review. I can just go to those because this one is boring me to tears. And so that's my biggest critique. That first half of the film is really a slow burn, and you have to really trudge through it to get to the good stuff. But if you endure it like I did, again, part of it might have been because I was reviewing it. Otherwise, I might not have gotten to the second half. But if you can get to that first half, you'll get to some good stuff. It's just that first half was really, really boring. And the second thing I didn't like about the film was that I felt like Micheal Ward wasn't really given much to do. And so the best way I can describe Micheal Ward's performance, or the way he's utilized in the film, is this. So back in the 1980s and 90s, you'd have these shows that, these shows on like these network TV shows in America where throughout the whole series, you don't see not one black character at all. Then on a special episode, and so then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, again, I'm a black person here, there's black people on TV. I see a black person on this show that I've never seen before. And so you have to have this black character put in there specifically to deal with race. And so I feel like Micheal Ward is kind of that character in this movie. And it's just, he's not given much. So that brings me to another critique of the film. So again, as I mentioned, Micheal Ward's character, Olivia Coleman's character are the main characters. And, it's a really interesting story about the relationship. There's a lot more sex than I anticipated. And as I mentioned before, I'm not a prude. I think I talked about this with the Silent Twins critique about some of the sexual activity within the film. I'm not a prude. I don't, care about having sex in the film. I think if that's part of the plot, that's part of the plot. But I felt like there's supposed to be, at least, again, I could be missing a point with this, and maybe I am, but there was zero for me sexual chemistry, and so I thought I was supposed to be convinced, at least from his side. Let's say from Micheal Ward's side. I forgot his character's name. From his side, there has to be some kind of sexual attraction, some kind of sexual connection with Olivia Coleman's character. And there's nothing. Like, I felt like, okay, the plot says they have to have sex, they have to be sexually connected and sexually attracted to each other. And I don't see where that came from other than the plot. Like, there was nothing that, in my opinion, that built up that this should be the relationship that happens. And so, should you see this film or just skip it? Well, just a little background. So when I first wanted to see this film, it was actually back in 2022. So I'm filming this in early March 2023. And so, it took me a while to get to this film. I wanted to see it like in a preview, but it was in like DC, and I live in Towson, so it's like an hour away. So I didn't want to drive all the way there. And then, just stuff happened. I did my class in early January. And I would have gone when I was in England. It's just, I was teaching, and I was also filming my vlog and had other stuff to deal with, also editing my videos. So it wasn't until just now that I was able to sit down and have time to go watch this film. And honestly, I could say, had I not seen it, I think it would have been fine. So I would say skip it. The reason, and also one of the big reasons I say skip it is this. I feel like the film, again, I'm someone who is I'm liberal. The things they're talking about in the film, I agree with, but you don't have to have a whole film about, the idea that racism is bad to, get your message across. I felt like they built this narrative around Coleman's amazing performance, this very simplistic story. And at the end of the day, it was like, racism is bad. Don't be racist. And it's like, okay, but am I going to have to go watch a film to see this? Like, I'm already, believe this. And if I was on the other side of it, like the people, the bad guys in this film, the antagonist, it's not going to make any difference to me. There's nothing in the film that would make me change my mind either way on either side, if I'm on either side of the issue. So there's really no reason to watch this film. It has a really nice message overall, but the story is just kind of like, to me, some of the kind of simplistic, almost paternalistic stories you get out of Hollywood, which I've never been a fan of. It's almost like The Blind Side, the idea, they have that in there too, which I hate The Blind Side, by the way. But the idea is that, racism is bad, and you have these poor, underprivileged people, and we're going to go save them. I felt that too in this film. I felt it was like a Blind Side film, but set in England in the 1980s. Like, it just didn't do anything for me. So I didn't really like the story. I didn't really like the film. It's, again, Hollywood. Even I know this isn't Hollywood, but it's the same type of Hollywood type paternalism that I just didn't care for. So I watched the film. Didn't really enjoy it. And so I would just say skip it. I mean, it's nothing, again, if you are racist, this film is not gonna make you not racist. And if you are not racist, I mean, it's gonna reinforce your ideas, but I don't see having to go watch a film to say that it's gonna do anything. So not really much of a story there, in my opinion. Again, Micheal Ward isn't given much. Olivia Coleman does an amazing performance, but I'm sure I'm gonna look at some more of her stuff as well to kind of see more of her performances. I'm sure there's other movies, other performances. You can see she's just as good, and it's a better story. And to me, the story was weak. You know, they underutilized the one black character in there, and it just has this very simple Hollywood paternalistic story. Racism is bad. Don't be racist, and yeah, don't waste your time on this. So if you found this review interesting and or informative, please like this video, subscribe to my channel. Also, please share this video. And if you have any suggestions for other films you want me to review, please leave those suggestions in the comment section below. Thank you all for your time and have a wonderful rest of your day.